I went to Gene Krupa's funeral. Bud Rich took me up, and I come back, and the guy was staying with a psychologist, Tiny Khan's cousin, Jake Hanna, Dr. Deep. Yeah, he asked me how I felt at going to Gene's funeral. I says, well, I want to do a little playing before I go, you know. So I did. He says, well, what'll it take to get you off of that TV show with that terrible music and hopelessness, you know, just awful stuff.
What do you feel like? Tell me about that. Tell me about the TV scene, doing that as a player.
Well, it's ludicrous. Yeah. First of all, they have a band here. You got Richie Kamuka, late Richie Kamuka, Wise Johnson, Marshall Royal.
Oh, yeah.
You got Bill Berry, you got Jack Sheldon, you got Danny Stiles, you got Bob Brookmeyer, Kai Winding, Jimmy Cleveland.
Good heavens.
Herb Ellison and Jimmy Hall were the guitar players there at various times. Chuck Wayne and Mundell Lowe now.
Yeah.
You get the great Ray Brown, one of the greatest ever lived.
Fair band.
Fair band, pretty fair band, and you're playing for Sonny and Cher. Now figure that one out. 14-year-old mentality music, and down, did for that. Charo, Paul Anka. You've got all the morons in the history of music. The worst music I've ever heard in my life. It's like hitching Seabiscuit, Man of War, Secretariat, Cold Town, and all the great horses, hitching them up and making them pull a milk wagon around town. You know, you got real thoroughbreds there, making them play garbage. Now, it's nonsense. It's the most ludicrous thing I ever heard of, and it'll never get any better. Never. It's gotten worse. You see the jumping on the television now, you can't bear to watch it.
But the other players that do it, I know Bill Watchers at one point was doing that for the Griffin show.
Bill Watchers did the show in New York. That's right. Yeah.
Great players. Why are they doing that? I mean, what causes that to happen at this point?
I think he likes to see himself on the television. I think that's what he does. He's an 8x10 walking Robert Goulet. That's what he looks like.
What about the other players?
Well, Jim Hall just quit.
Oh,
he took a job for $60 a week rather than do that. $60 a week, playing pure music. Him and Ron Carter. Place called The Guitar. He quit the job. He had a job. Well, we only made $250 there a week. But out here, we made about $840. The money tripled when we went to California. The music got worse. Absolutely worse. Money got higher, and the music got lower.
When you're in the recording, not doing sessions, I don't mean jingles, but when you're actually doing an album, a jazz album, are there producers that you enjoy working with more?
There's only one. That's Carl Jefferson. Because he just sits there. He lets you do all the playing. Doesn't stop in the middle, say it ain't get the feeling, or doesn't have this. Right? Most of our records are done in one take.
As a producer, though, is he a musician?
No.
He's not. But so he doesn't really contribute aesthetically. He just is.
Aesthetically, he runs the whole thing. The whole thing.
Is that right?
He's the whole thing is.
So that would be the catalyst that makes it feel good in the studio, right?
The guy goes in a straight 8 notes, he'll just stop it right there.
Yeah.
We don't do crossover on this label. Let all the other labels take care of that. You can get in anyway, but guys try to sneak in a hit. Wise Johnson wants to get a hit. No. Stop them cold. Right this track.
God, so many guys are doing that, though. I mean, I hear, not Maynard is obviously doing that.
Maynard never was a jazz musician. I worked with him for years. He's a good friend of mine, but he's never a jazz trumpet player.
Is that right?
Bobby Hackett's a jazz trumpet player, man. Bobby Hackett. Yeah. He couldn't hit middle C, Bobby Hackett. He's the best trumpet player I ever worked with my whole life. By far.
Just musically.
Absolutely the epitome of perfect taste, Bobby Hackett.
Is that right?
Yes, Dizzy's gone rock and roll now, so that's nonsense, you know. Freddie Hubbard sounded like a fool up there. Stan Getz, funny thing with Stan Getz, he can come right back and knock you cold, see.
That's right.
But they like the money, they like that money. Now what are they going to do with all that money? Just what are they going to do that they didn't do before?
I don't know.
I don't get it. How many cars do you need? How big a house do you have to walk around in? How big a pool do you need? You don't need any of that.
Was there a resurgence, you think, with players, say, at the time you went into doing the TV shows, to maybe go to Europe and try it there? Did that
a lot of guys just finally gave up here. Well, the Europeans are quite a bit more sophisticated.
Is that right? Why it's our music, supposedly, American music. Well, why did that happen?
I don't think anybody really has a market call. I really think it's the European influence myself. I don't think Africa had anything to do with influencing American jazz. I think it's totally European. Yeah, I think because one day we come back here, we play these old so-called rips and all the stuff we work out. They can hear them on all their old symphonies done 300 years ago. They hear all those nice American pop songs, not pop songs, standard songs. You'll hear Cole Porter and all the symphonic writers
Oh, of course.
from way back.
Oh,
Sure, and Jerome Kern, they're in there.
The influences are all there.
Oh, sure. I think it's heavy European influence. I don't think Africa had much to do with this at all. Louis Armstrong had something to do with it.
That's right. Who is it spends a lot of... I know Dexter Gordon spends a lot of time there, or had done.
Yeah, Dexter's finally getting a little recognition. He's finally getting a little piece of the pie now, finally, after all these years. But he's got a lot of heavy electronics in there, too, so is Sonny Rollins.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they don't need it.
They're just great.
Dexter, you can shut off all the mics and he's still going to sound good.
That's right.
I used to shut off the mics with a lot of guys and the mic is it, the amp.
Did you read? I read the life story of that they did a Bird, right? Yeah, and the thing that really saddened me was that he was in America doing all that he did, and he just played so great. And he went, I think it was to Denmark or Copenhagen or something, and he got the royal treatment, and it was such a mind-blowing thing for him to experience that. And he come back to America, and he's just another black man, right?
No, but over here, this is where it is. So they should slug it out over here. You're the champs, man. And they're all looking to knock your block off. So he just works Birdland, which they named after him.
Right.
And he works the jazz joints. That's it. He wouldn't have liked it over there if he had to stay there.
Is that right?
Hot players are here, man. Yeah. This is where Zoot Sims plays the saxophone, and this is where Charlie Parker plays the Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah.
They don't live over there. They live here.
That's right.
So this is where you go to New York if you want that.
Exactly.
That's where the Yankees play baseball. That's where Joe Louis has his fights. That's where Madison Square Garden is. That's where Yankee Stadium is. That's where you slug it out.